Alright, hello, it's TK. So it's been a very long time since I've done a podcast, and that's probably because the past week I've been really focused on working on my final exams, and it's been a very long fall semester for me. But now that winter break is coming up the week after next week, I'm finally able to have some time to talk about things for once, and hopefully I will try to make this a longer podcast than I usually have them, because I'm using a different means of recording than the speaker format I usually use, and that tends to limit me to about 15 minutes most of the time. Okay, so I gotta bring up my little window to remind me of my topics. And so, main topic was really just finishing the semester. It's been a very interesting semester, and honestly a very interesting year. I honestly have been quite perplexed with this year. It's been a bunch of good and bad things, and in a way it's kind of it's a good thing that it has some bad things, because then it gives you new things to learn about yourself and about life. So I'm going to talk about a few different stories that kind of happened during my semester. The very first one will be volunteering. I actually recently interacted with my honor society, Phi Theta Kappa, and in Phi Theta Kappa I did some volunteering at the campus for voter registration. So for a while I was helping students get registered to vote, and then we were focusing immediately afterwards on voter participation. It was a really thrilling experience. It kind of encouraged me to not be afraid to walk up to people, ask them questions, get information, and really helps with social skills. And I decided to also bring the same voter registration option to my concurrent enrollment school, so that way they'd be able to register some students too. I was able to register a few students, and it was a very fun and interesting experience for me. Next story I have for you is kind of my summary synopsis of my photography class. Now, in my photography class, I honestly had so many different projects, it's hard to pay attention to them all, and hopefully when I'm editing the video, I'll actually let you see some of my project submissions. I will watermark them, only because I am not very how should I say, I'm not very keen on art stealing, so even if it's just through a video, I tend to make my videos in high quality, and so I want to at least make sure that the photographs are properly credited, and that they're from me and not from someone else. I just find it a little bit of a sensitive topic sometimes, but not that it has happened to me, I just always am consciously aware. Give me a second. I'm going to probably pause for a second in order to deal with a message that came up, and continue the podcast soon. Alright, sorry about that. I had to kind of focus on a little side thing, and so if there's a few little pauses, I apologize for that. I just don't want to interrupt you with things that are on the side in comparison while I'm doing the podcast, because I'm dealing with some messages as well as focusing on this podcast right now. So yeah, in my photography class I had a lot of different projects I was working on. The first set was abstraction, and I really enjoyed my abstraction pieces. They were really fun for a very first attempt. The project afterwards also kind of was very interesting in understanding composition through abstraction and being able to kind of learn to get a good eye for things. So that is really the main point of abstraction. As to the next project, which was creative exposure, I have a little bit of a I should say a peeve, but a preference towards bokeh, and I was having fun with bokeh, but I also had some shots using fast shutter as well. And I really love bokeh only because it's you'll be able to get this kind of very nice painterly blur in the background, and if you use the pinhole covers of sorts, you can also do shapes. I did one with stars, and so hopefully I put that up so you can see the some of the star shape or pointy shape patterns in the background of the flower. So that was really, really fun. Another topic as well is in I'm sorry, forgive me for my derpy brain, as it's been a while since I've properly done a podcast. So the next project was emotive color. It was emotive color. Sorry about that. It's been a fast semester, so I'm rambling off like crazy, but hopefully it's entertaining. And so, emotive color, we were supposed to take photos that incented a certain emotion with the subject matter. So I think that one wasn't my best, but I had a few shots that I'm really proud of that I think were really good. The last one was narrative, and so I'm only going to show the product photography shots, and I'm not going to show who they represent. I'm just going to say that it's either my brother or my dad or my mom, but I'm not going to show the people that they represent because I'm a little bit of a private person. And the next and final project for photography was Whatever We Want, and so these are my absolute favorite shots because it's mixed media. I decided to do a little bit of traditional, a little bit of base photography, product photography, and then illustrations on top. So it's a bit of a mix mash of a lot of different styles and a lot of different things, and so I hope that's very enjoyable to look at and to get an idea of what I enjoy doing as an artist, because that's really what I do on my personal level, is that I focus on art and I focus on creating art. And if I'm able to, I also love to share my art. So hopefully that will be something entertaining to look at, and I will leave my Deviantart in the description below, and also my college portfolio, due to the fact that I know that sometimes I don't really remember to update my Deviantart very often. I'm gonna get back into that. Don't worry. At least I hope so. Life tends to do that to me. Okay, so next topic is I'm going to tell you an experience I had while I was in my political science class. And so what happened is that my political science class decided to do a field trip to the Cell Museum. The Cell Museum is a museum where I live, which is in Colorado, that's in it's closer to downtown where the art museum is. So if you're in downtown Denver, I suggest taking a look at it. It talks about terrorism and what terrorism actually means, or trying to understand what the methods of terrorism are, because there's a lot of the media tends to be very convoluted with its information, and at times I tend to be able to get very confused as to what it's trying to represent. They show a lot of different examples of how it works, of what tools are used, how is it understood, and what kind of people are behind these kind of actions. And so it's a really great museum. I enjoyed it, and I had a great time talking with my classmates and making some new friends. And immediately afterwards we went to a little bit of a coffee shop in order to kind of continue our conversation after the museum, which was very fun, and I really honestly got to meet some amazing people that I hope I can continue to talk to for the upcoming years of my life. It was a very exhilarating experience. I think there were moments where I felt very overwhelmed because a lot of the exhibits are very interactive, and because they're very interactive exhibits, you kind of feel a little bit immersed into the scenarios, especially in one particular room. It was almost insane. The level of immersion made me hyper aware, actually. I was just kind of like looking around consistently because they made these giant screens kind of into the walls, and so it felt like you were inside of the areas you were looking at. And it was just a very surreal experience being placed into a scenario where, terrorism can happen at any moment. And there's a lot of different reasons behind why people do such things. And so I find that a topic really interesting to talk about. So if it's ever an interesting conversation, I would gladly like to continue talking about it. But I'm going to try to keep my topics as straightforward, as simple as I possibly can. My last topic is actually related to my recent math test, to my own surprise. So my math test was, it was very, I'm always the kind of person where it's like, oh, I doubt my math skills even though I'm kind of decent at it. And I decided to study really hard for my math final. And I was surprised with my results because I never thought that it's like all my tests, either I got like a 80 something, a 90 something if I'm really lucky, a 70 if I was a really bad. And one time, my final, I got a perfect exam. I got a perfect exam and the extra credit. So I had 105% final exam. And so that was really exciting for me, and it made me so happy. And that leads me to my next little story, which is my parents decided as a reward for completing and passing my final math exam and getting an A in the class, we went to go and get some Vietnamese noodles, which is pho. And pho, I really, really, really love pho. I love a lot of Asian cuisines, even though, on a personal note, I'm Hispanic. But I like strange flavors and I like strange things. And so I had a really great time having pho. And this time around, I went with my whole family. So my brother was rambling on and on and on about video games and video game content, which always makes me happy because I know he doesn't really get to talk with my family as a whole very much. It's nice to hear him talk and converse with us with different things. And in the meanwhile, my mom also got to join us and ate something different with my father's. And so normally my parents aren't too big on the Asian cuisine, except for I think Chinese food, which is ironically the most basic of Asian foods to eat, but at least it's something. For me though, I really enjoy trying new Asian cuisines. I've had ramen noodles, I've had pho, I've had sushi, and I'm hoping to try even more different kinds like hot pots, shabu shabu, and all kinds of other fun cuisines. So one day I'll be able to try more. I hope I will be able to try more, but for now, I think this was a great experience on its own in being able to enjoy something special as a reward for working so hard for this semester. And that's really it about the whole stories from the semester. And now I want to really kind of talk about what I'm hoping I can do a little bit more of in the future. And I hope that would be, sorry if there's a little bit of a pause and stop. I might be pausing or unpausing when I get interrupted with things. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do more videos in the future in relation to podcasts, and also hoping to do more art-related videos and photography-related videos. Maybe I don't really know for sure with the photography note, but maybe I'll be able to figure out something. I really want to focus on my art videos, and I really want to focus on trying to build a bigger community relating to stories with my channel. Since I know it's a very small and baby channel, I want to try to kind of come back into it with a more positive aspect. And so, yeah, I'm gonna probably end it here because I'll be rambling on forever and ever and ever, but hopefully things will kind of start to pick up again. And as I would always like to say, I hope I made you smile today. Bye!